Okay, well, I've talked about this hat before. This is my hat that says Ecole Electric, so it's like the School of Electricity, but it's got ECO on it, which is almost ECCO, which is Echo, Earth Coincidence Control Office, and that is a major theme of a lot of my videos. Okay, so my topic right now is omens. So, Hollywood had the famous movie The Omen, and it was a dark movie about the Antichrist. I think there was three of them at least. Damien Thorne, the Antichrist. Now, in the Carlos Castaneda books, the Yaqui shaman Don Juan Matus taught Carlos Castaneda, his apprentice, about the nature of omens. Well, it's written about in the book, and, I might have one of his books upstairs or some primitive copy or something. But I don't have it a direct quote, and I'm not about to go look out the door to see, what the stars say, because where I live right now, it's about 40 below Celsius, and I've already been out to plug in the car, so that way for looking for an omen. But you can look for things, and I've always said in my earlier videos that, everything can be looked up with your Google or DuckDuckDuck or whatever your search engine is. You just put in what it is and ask for the meaning and or symbology. And you will get a story, and that is one way to interpret things that you see. Now, I've got so many examples, but let's see. Some of the things that I see are more, not omens, but more like deja views. In other words, yesterday when I was at the West Fort, I always look at the numbers on the TV screens when I happen to glance at the TV screens, and there's games. So there's a basketball game that the more hoops you get, the more points you get. And I always look to see what the number is, because I know that the universe is talking to me, because I pay attention to this thing and I'm a shaman. Everyone else walks around blindly stupid to the fact that the universe is constantly giving you information and you just have to decode it. But people are too stupid because they're too programmed by stupid schools, and they're too busy getting drunk out of their minds to look to see if there's something more important for them to do, rather than getting loaded and puking and passing out and feeling shitty for 3 days. But it's not like I never did do that at the bar. I did, and did anyone tell me that there was something I could be doing at the bar besides drinking? Well, looking for be a pickup artist or something, or listening to gossip, a lot of gossip. But these are not the kinds of things that I'm interested in. So I suppose it took serendipity brought things to me, but it's my curiosity, my curious nature that brought me to, when I was a child of 8 or 10, I would go to the library once a week, and I would get about a dozen books out, and in a week I would go through those books. Every week. I was an enormous reader. I don't read books anymore. I still take them out of the library, but I don't read them. And I go to Amazon and I go to Kindle versions of the books, and I get download sample, which is free, because I'm become cheap in my old age, And I don't have room for all these books to buy, and I don't have the linear time to read all the books that I want to read. So what I do is I bring them and I open pages at random so I can get a little sample of whatever's on the page. I open at random, and that suits my purpose. Am I missing out? Yes, I am missing out. But I go to the library and I don't have time to do a dozen books a week anymore. I don't, because I'm busy doing many other things, mostly healing things, believe it or not. Because my mission to planet Earth is to be a healer. When I was a boy, my parents knew about my mission and they thought that I should be a traditional medical doctor or something. And it didn't happen. I am not a traditional medical doctor, and I've taken some massage courses and woo-woo courses and all kinds of things that are, I have a degree in biology. I guess that's the closest thing that you can say. So I do have some idea about biology, anyways. However, the topic at hand is omens. Now, Don Juan Matus, in the Carlos Castaneda books, would say, I am looking for an omen. And the reason he was looking for an omen was he had maybe come to a fork in the road and he wanted to figure out whether to go right or left. And, with me, normally what I do is my body just goes one way or another. There's not a lot of consideration, or my guides will suggest something and maybe my body will take the suggestion, maybe it won't. But Don Juan was a different kind of person, and he would stop and look for an omen, which is basically a sign from the spirit. Because in Yaqui shamanism, Toltec shamanism, the spirit was a real thing. And the spirit would be the great spirit. It wouldn't be like individual, human spirits. It would be the great spirit. And that is the one that he was wanting to consult. So he would be looking for an omen. And, in his tradition, his omens would be very different from things that I would consider omens. And, I don't live in the Sonora Desert, so, the things that he describes are just not present in Canada, where I live. So, let's see, but significant events in your life could be considered omens, especially if you got something on your mind at the time something happens. So, if something was on your mind, you had just had a communication with someone, and that was in your mind, the communication you had, and what it was all about, and you were reviewing it in your mind, and there might be some emotion that's come up because of this, because what you heard is maybe giving you some cognitive dissonance, and it's like you would want to discount what this person has given you, and you've got your own agenda that you've set based upon the programming and the conditions, etc., that you have grown up under. And, you've set your intention to do something in a certain way, and then someone else comes along. This costume that I wear, this sweater, is Sidhe The Shee. And a she is, it comes from the realm of the fairies or the elves, etc. So, not a human kind of person, a person that's coming from another realm and looks at humans with a different kind of look. And the communication that's going around your mind as you're driving down the highway is playing around and playing around, and it's clearly, somebody else has got a different perspective on things, and it's just going around, and then all of a sudden something happens. Something happens, and this is your significant event. So, something was going on in your head, and then you have a significant event. Well, you should perhaps try and figure it out. Now, what is the Great Spirit trying to tell me by giving me this event? If the Great Spirit was wanting to tell me, ignore whatever this person has told you, well, I think you would just continue on your merry way and you wouldn't have any kind of significant event whatsoever. You would just, it's like whatever that person is just, it's insignificant. There's nothing significant that this person has told me. And that would be your confirmation from Spirit to continue on doing what you're doing. However, somebody might say, well, it was on your mind and you just stopped paying attention to what you were doing and you tripped over your feet. And it was nothing to do with the Great Spirit. It was simply the fact that you had stopped paying attention to where you were walking and you tripped over your feet. And maybe it's a sign that you should never listen to this person again, or you should try and... it's a valid way of looking at it, once again, it's a sign that maybe I should stop multitasking. It's too difficult to multitask. In other words, think about what someone said and go for a walk. Because when I do this, in this particular occasion, I fell down and I skinned my knee. So, that might be what you got out of it, and then you'll continue on your merry way. And, then you won't have the benefit of my interpretation of what your event is all about. My interpretation, as I said, is if you heard some information from someone and you want to discard it and continue on the same direction that you were doing and, poo-poo whatever this person has said, if the Great Spirit thought that was a good idea, I would say that you would not trip when you went for a walk. You would have a lovely walk, and soon you would forget that you even had a conversation with this particular person. However, in this case, that is not what happened. And I've given you the scenario 1, which is the cheap scenario, and it gets you off the hook and allows you to continue on your merry way. I got a skinned knee, and it was because I wasn't paying attention. But if you want to look at it from the perspective of the Great Spirit who has given you a great omen, I would say if you had an accident, when you were thinking about something that, someone is trying to change your direction and you had an accident, you tripped over your feet and you skinned your knee, I would say that the Great Spirit is actually giving you something painful. And the pain, I always say it in my videos, the pain is there for one reason. It is to wake you up. So, if you have felt some pain, you have skinned your knee, it is there for you to reconsider the path that you are on. The Great Spirit has spoken and said, I've given you some pain. And the pain is because I disapprove of what you're doing. And I have given you, through another one of my people on earth, something else that I wanted you to consider and actually follow the new directive through this other person who is my mouthpiece. And I could see that you were having problems mess with it and you wanted to discard it. So what I have done is I have created some pain in your life because I want you to look again at what that person was saying during the time period that led up to you having your accident. It's only logical. I mean, either you weren't paying attention and that's all you want to get out of it, and the fact that somebody was trying to tell you something, it's irrelevant. It was just it took my mind off of my walking and I tripped. But if it was an omen, I have to reiterate. Why am I not saying reiterate? It's adding. I'm adding. Everything that I am giving you, I am adding to what I've given you previously. It's not that I consider you stupid, I consider you programmed. Because everyone on this planet is heavily conditioned by the society, society. Let's leave it at the society. The society and all the accoutrements of the society, you're heavily conditioned. And to get through your conditioning, you have to find someone who is going to speak to you. And if you don't get the message, then the spirit is going to have this person give you another talk to. And again, you will perhaps not watch what I have to say, or you will watch and you will once again say, well, last time I tripped and I skinned my knee, so I have to put this out of my mind and focus on my walking. Or I can learn what an omen is really trying to tell me. The pain is here to wake me up to the fact that I am on the wrong path, because I was conditioned to believe that what I am doing is in the highest and best interest of everyone here. So that is really what I'm trying to get to. The omen is here to wake you up and get you to change directions. Take it or leave it. I do give you the caveat that if you don't change your direction, there will be more of these kind of things that happen. And, the pain is only here to wake you up. I'm just listening to see if there's anything else. Well, with my intentionality, everything is for the highest and best of all. So, if there are things that are going sideways and they're not for the highest and best of all, and after people have been given a wake-up call and they can't get it through their heads that it's time to change direction, well, the Great Spirit knows what it wants to do, and it doesn't make me privy to it. All it does is make me pause and wonder, well, I wonder what else is going to happen to someone who has been given some information and has chosen to ignore it. Perhaps you have changed the mind of the Great Spirit, and it is going to go along with you and allow you to have your way. Or maybe it's going to create more accidents in your life. To say, I've had enough of you doing the thing that you want to do, and I want you to do what I want you to do, because I am the Great Spirit and you're a little human. And if it decides that you're going to be allowed to do what you want to do for the purposes of future lessons, future considerations, well, I'm not the Great Spirit, and I don't know what it's going to do. But the Great Spirit had me create this 20-minute lecture about omens and, ways you could look at it. Enjoy it. I'm Sidhe The Shee.